up for Black America, it's just another year. You knew the disrespect by your elected puppeteers, but let me show you how to persevere.
So, we up. IG, we up. If you're wondering who we're listening to, this is Lenny Kravitz off his Mama Said album from 1991. The song is It Ain't Over Till It's Over. Playing games with love. This is a jam, y'all. Yo, what's up, fam? Mr. Almighty Waffle Man, one of DC's very own upcoming comedians. What's up, brother? Yo, we gotta have you on the show again, man. For real, for real. Look, we got a lot to discuss today, right? We talking everything from Wade's son, daughter, Jussie Smollett, coronavirus, Valentine's Day. Talking about black swim students being harassed, the renegade dance, cultural appropriation. We got a lot to cover, alright? We're gonna get there. Alright, so look, it's your boy JB Costa. And together we are the Nitty Gritty. Let's get down to it. Look, so in the current news today, or over this past weekly news cycle, we see that they still messing with Jussie Smollett. I don't really get what that's about. Like, I thought that was over. I thought that he had Juicy Smollett.
Ah, that was so. You saw James Chappelle. That was so funny. What I think is going on is someone was the Breakfast Club.
Nate was good.
The Breakfast Club. The real TV. They said that the prosecutor, I cannot recall her name. She's a black woman. She's up for re-election, and because all of the people in Chicago made a big outcry about it, they're trying to, I guess, make an example out of Jussie so that way she looks favorable to.
Oh, so this is election hijinks.
Yeah.
That's crazy though. Like, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, he did some lame stuff though, right? We're not gonna act like what he did wasn't lame, but when it's all said and done, it's like I thought y'all was over it. Like,
and so the people who are making a big stink about it, they're saying that there are a lot of hate crimes against the LGBTQ community.
That's true.
And that people should not make fun of it or pretend or things of that nature. And then you have people like
shout out Tiff.
Then you have people like Amanda Seales who feels like while that is true, we should not try to correct bad behavior with black people because we're always being corrected. We're always in trouble sometimes when we're not. For example, Amanda Seales' point of view is that if you're going to correct bad behavior, then why not correct those white folks that make those phone calls on black folks for no reason?
Or better yet, if you want to really correct somebody who's really damaging the LGBT community, right? Why not bring up Kevin Spacey, who was taking advantage of young males in Hollywood, and then when he was about to get caught under Me Too, he tried to come out and say, well, no, I'm gay. I mean, isn't that an affront to the whole gay community, try to abuse your attractions?
Granted, I don't agree with what Jussie Smollett did, but I do think there are other ways to utilize tax dollars in uncovering a past case where someone was off and now you're trying to like bring it back up. To me, is not the wisest way to use tax dollars. And I also feel like, again, with Amanda Seales' point, if we're going to go this hard, we got to go hard for all wasted money of police.
Yeah, I feel you. And then, hey, shout out IG, shout out Facebook. Hey, remember, guys, this is an interactive show. Feel free to chime in, say what you feel. All comments get read, you know what I'm saying, because they're your comment at the end of the day. But yeah, we like to hear your thoughts on these things. Moving on, coronavirus. I'll put this on there because, you know, once again, this has been going on in the news. They've had, like, I think almost thousands of deaths now. Worldwide, something crazy like that. I mean, you know, keep me honest, people, but I want to say somewhere.
So I just feel like it came out of nowhere, kind of like Ebola. So for me, it's like, where did it come from?
I think it's man-made.
People are saying it's because people are eating rats, bats, and cats.
That's a myth.
Well, I was going to say because
the World Health Organization already debunked that. Like they already talked about what province out of China. I think it's like Weihu, something like that province or something.
But
like
why is it more prominent? Why is it prominent in the Asian community?
Well, I mean, we have stuff like MERS that is more prominent in the Middle East. You have other diseases that were more prominent in places like in Europe. So I think it just depends. There's different strains.
I did hear that before. Nate says population control. I haven't heard that as well.
Yeah. So shout out Nate on Facebook, said that it's man virus, population control.
But in China, weren't they doing something like for every family that had more than one girl, they were like automatically giving them an abortion to help control population control?
Yeah, because the women. Well, now the issue is they have, because they had put so much
emphasis on guys
on males. They're actually overpopulated with males now. So I mean, that's an issue in itself. But I will say this, like, just sticking to some things you can do to protect yourself. I think this is a good teachable moment to talk about other things that I can't stand, like in the bathroom. If you're going to use the bathroom, right? You're wiping yourself, you're doing all these things. It's a good idea. Oh, I'm trying to get you IG. There we go. It's a good idea to, you know, wash your hands, right? The main way that diseases are spread, this one isn't airborne. It's still done through particles. So therefore, when they say particles, that means when you sneeze. Please cover your mouth when you sneeze. When you sneeze, people don't know this. A sneeze can blast throughout a room and travel up to 30 feet. All right? Something I learned when I was in the military as a medic. So when you sneeze, you don't cover your mouth, and the proper way to cover your face is using your arm. I know it's like, man, it seems kind of infantile that, you know, Jada Costa got to actually give you a live example, but this is true. Cover your face when you sneeze, okay? It will prevent your germs traveling your particles, because somebody could be laughing, talking, it could enter their mouth, it could enter through their eyes or their nose, and then they could get sick with your virus. The other thing are surfaces. That's why if you ever buy a can of Lysol or any type of sanitary wipes, they always list all these different viruses they kill. The reason why they list them, because once again, when you sneeze out loud, or if you blow your nose, or if you're touching your face or your mouth and then touching the surfaces of a keyboard, a door, or what have you, that virus still stays alive on that surface for a period of time. One second. That's why those sanitary wipes talk about how they kill AIDS, how they kill various viruses like coronavirus and MERS, because it's trying to let you know if you use these regularly, it'll wipe that virus away. What was you saying?
I was going to say, and that's why you don't use a dryer either. Because the dryer basically sucks up all the fecal matter.
Not all hair dryers, but a lot of them do. Like when they first cut on, it has an inside sucking motion before it blows down.
According to the CDC, they say the best way to dry your hands is either on your shirt or with a paper napkin.
With that napkin. But it all starts with good hygiene. Wash your hands, wash your butt.
Wash your hands, wash your butt, bring your own toiletries, bring your baby wipes to the bathroom, bring your spray, bring everything. You should have a little packet of toiletries when you go, man or woman. You grown. If babies have wet towelettes for their butt, the adults should go forth too.
And you remember how when you was a kid, your parents would say, keep your hands out your face? That's also a protective measure. You know, even as an adult, try to limit touching your face, right? You want to do that because, you know, you're touching surfaces throughout the time. And if you work in like a corporate environment, you know, write that stuff down with Lysol like once a day, at least, you know, once a week, especially if you're sharing stations. A lot of businesses use sharing stations now. Be clean, protect yourself, protect others, right? Also, a lot of people have this stigmatism towards folks overseas because they'll wear like the covers of their face.
It's so dramatic.
But
you see the guy on the plane?
But I will say this. Well, okay, that's like dramatic.
With the little bubble plastic.
But when you see people wearing face masks, like in China or throughout various provinces throughout the world, they do that because the culture there, you got to think, things are way more crowded there. You know, they have a much higher population density than ours. So to be polite to others, if they're not feeling well, they may not even be sick, but if they don't feel 100%, they wear a mask across their face to protect others, which is better than Americans that just cough everywhere all over a train. Give me the brother with the mask, right, who is at least trying to contain what he can give me versus the person who, I guess we just assume they clean and they coughing, wiping their nose, and touching surfaces, all right? Once again, keep yourself protected and protect others.
Right.
Valentine's Day weekend just passed. Did anybody enjoy the Valentine's Day weekend? I'm curious to hear. Kat, did you enjoy yours? Do anything special?
I did.
Low key.
I feel bad, guys. I intended to get Juan a card, and I didn't. And I'm saying it on camera. I feel.
Dang. Brothers want gifts too.
I feel awful.
We want gifts too.
But part of it is that two things. One, I had an extremely stressful work week, like beyond stress. I feel like I got extra gray hair. And then two, when you're trying to plan a wedding, it's like financially, I know this sounds crazy, but it's like, even though this card is meaningful, it's like $6, that's $6 out of the wedding fund. So he's going to throw it away in a matter of a month. I'm going to throw the card away in a matter of a month. But Juan did get me a gift, so I still feel bad. But as the caveat, I'm planning a big birthday thing, so I'm kind of like, you got to pick one or the other. He said he preferred the birthday, so that's kind of what that was.
Yeah, so we're going to let it off the hook because my birthday is next weekend. But they're going to be 36. So, you know, we'll see. You know what I'm saying? Now, just to play devil's advocate, brothers, would you have got that same leniency if you didn't get a gift? If you didn't get
I wouldn't have been off on you.
No, I'm not going in on you, but I kind of want to talk about it because it's Valentine's Day, right? Why do women make such a big deal about Valentine's Day? Do you realize that the people that I saw making the biggest deal about Valentine's Day are the ones, well, for one, most of them were single, and then two, a lot of them, you are mean to brothers all year long. So who's going to realistically get you anything for Valentine's Day? Like, for instance, like, you'll have some people out there with the hate speech towards brothers. Oh, men ain't this, men ain't that. Oh, I saw y'all was posting girl dad, but you a deadbeat. I mean, it's those women that seek a Valentine's Day validation. And it's like, you prove to us all year long you're not really gift worthy. I mean, you're not somebody we're going to celebrate. Not from a romantic standpoint. I mean, all I ever see you do is talk bad about brothers. So why would we want to give you a gift? Well, give me the pick-me chick. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what y'all call them, right?
I am not big on Valentine's Day because I'm the kind of woman where one day is just not good enough for me. I need consistency year round. And honestly, I feel like if you're showing good attributes in your relationship, if you're communicating, if you're positive, if you're willing to compromise, that to me is more meaningful than any kind of card. Teddy bear, I'm a grown woman, I don't want a teddy bear. I don't want no flowers that are going to make me cough and sneeze. I don't want no chocolate because I'm going to get big and I'm already trying to lose weight. I'm already big enough. So all the key things do nothing for me. And when it comes to cards, I buy my parents expensive cards, but for everybody else, I literally go to the dollar store because I feel like people read cards and they throw them away. They don't really care about what's inside. The only person I know that collects cards is my grandmother. So yeah, she collects cards.
Yo, shout out IG. We see you. Okay. So yeah, and then moving along. Oh, a quick note on Valentine's Day. I posted a video on my personal page. But I'm going to share this little quick tidbit information again. If you have to get celebrated all the time on the 13th and 15th, you decide, boo. Just letting you know. Also, I know a lot of y'all sisters like receiving stuff on Valentine's Day. But you know what? It's all right receiving a gift from your man outside that day. And this is why. You pay your surplus to have it delivered on Valentine's Day. I don't care if it's Sherry's Berries, edible arrangements, any kind of chocolate, whatever.com, flowers.com. So, hey, it's all right to receive your gift in person. You don't have to stunt in front of all the girls in the office. I mean, you're just going to post it to IG. Can we talk about that? Yeah, let's talk about that because, like, it goes along with it. It's like, it's all right to receive the gift in person.
So, I don't know. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a little bit private. Hence, probably why most of you did not know that Juan and I were dating for the past 3 years. But I really don't like the idea of this whole, my man got to do all this dramatic entrance in front of the office employees so girls can be jealous. I'm opening up my gift in front of people like, look what he got me, look what he got me. Because it creates unnecessary envy and sadness for other people. And I'm the kind of person where it's like, I'm here for work. I don't need you in my personal life. I'm here for work only. So, of course, everybody asks me, well, what do I get you? You know, I shared what he got me. But in my mind, it's like, it doesn't matter. It matters to me, but really, I don't really want you in my life or in my personal business. So I want that separate. But there are so many women who's like, oh my God, is it 12 o'clock? I just think that my man dropped off something. Oh my God, where's the mailroom, Katrina? I just want to know where it's at because I just want to, you know, like, it's like, no, it's not that. It's just, I don't want to say shade because everybody's excitement in a relationship is different. And just because someone is excited about that does not mean that it's not valid, because what I get excited about somebody else doesn't, because love languages are a thing. So I'm not going to say that it's bad, but me personally, I don't want none of y'all in my business. I don't want you knowing when I get a gift, when I don't get a gift, when I'm in this huge argument, when I'm feeling like, I don't know. I don't want you in my business. So that's the reason why I don't want no gift delivered. And I don't want nobody stealing nothing, because if it's something nice like Louis Vuitton, I don't want you trying to mug me outside at night for my bag. So that's why I don't want nothing delivered at work. Got it.
Look, so this is some health information. Like, if you get yourself delivered on Valentine's Day, just consider the fact that maybe all the thing you can afford after that is Chipotle with some extra guac, because that's $50 that could have went to your meal.
Food is the best. You see that rib bouquet?
A rib bouquet?
It's a rib bouquet and it's a chicken bouquet. Let me tell you something right here, right now. If my man come through the house with some chicken bouquet, baby, that's just fine for Cat. Because a chicken bouquet is everything. Pieces with Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce.
That sounds like that would be kind of messy.
That's fine. You take it off the stick, put it on the plate, put a little sauce there, and you eat it. Listen, fried chicken bouquet. That's something right there. That's better than some roses.
I want to see in the comments what's your ideal Valentine's Day, your ideal Valentine's Day gift. What is it? I'm curious to know. Moving along. Also in current news, Trump administration to reverse student loan forgiveness plans. So this is the importance behind voting.
Well, let's talk about it. So currently, if you are in a public, what is it called, public servant role. You can get your student loans paid off, I think, after 10 years. With anybody that's not in a public service role, you have to pay consecutively for 25 years, and then the rest of it is forgiven. With Trump's plan, he's trying to do it for 15. I guess he says that it'll be the balance between people who are in a public service role versus people who aren't. He don't think it's fair that people can get it after 10 years, and people who aren't have to wait till 25. So he feels like the medium is 15 years. The way I think of it is it's not really helping anybody because the interest rates are still astronomically high. If you really want to help with student loans, lower the interest rates. That's my 2 cents.
All right, and this is why we have to vote. It's because when certain candidates have ideas for what they can do with student loan forgiveness or student loan plans or college, that's just why your vote matters. So, and this is why your vote matters on a local level, because those congressmen and senators that you send to the White House to help ratify these things and amend them and all that good stuff, they take a part too. It's not just about voting for the president. It's all about voting for your local representative who should represent your ideas. All right? So let's get down to the nitty gritty. This one right here, I already know. We don't have a lot of people on at the moment, so we might get away with this one. We'll find out. So anyways, let's talk Dwayne Wade, right? So recently he's come out and he's been a real big spokesperson for, I guess, and an advocate for how fathers and mothers should be. And I guess now everyone is taking this as this is the only way to parent kind of route. I don't think I agree with that. I think as a parent, you reserve the right to raise and rear your child in what way you see best for your child. I think just because popular society is taking on certain things doesn't mean you can't positively touch your child without having to necessarily adhere to what everybody in society is saying. But his big thing right now, they've been talking about how his support of his, I guess now daughter, as he's referring. Yo, what's going on? What's going on? So of course Dwayne Wade. We're talking Dwayne Wade, y'all. If you're just coming on.
Is that Stephen?
No.
Okay.
So yeah. That's what's his IG name. But yo, shout out IG.
Okay.
So anyways, we're talking Dwayne Wade right now. So anyways, you know, his son Zion is now going by Zeta.
Yeah.
I guess he came home from school one day. He was like, hey, you know, oh, I guess it is Steve. Yo, what up, bro? I didn't know you went by Steve and Joseph on here. Like, so that's new to me. My bad. You was fly today too. We're gonna talk about that later. Like, I ain't gonna put your business out there, but you was fly today. So
Zion is 12. So my thoughts on it is that I do think parents should love kids unconditionally. I think with this new time that we're in, we are more accepting and embracing of trans identity, and I think that's great for people who really feel in their heart. But there's some tricks to the process in transitioning to another gender. So for me as a parent, if my child said that they wanted me to call them a man, a boy, or a girl, I would have to really question why or where they get that notion from. My thing is, I want to support my child, so I would prefer that they make that decision when they're an adult. And the reason why is that it is very traumatic. Once you do the transition, like let's say for instance you are a guy and you transition to a girl, you can never have kids that are your own. So I would never want to support my child into that transition, and then they get to be 25, they want to have kids that are their own biologically, and now they can't. So for me, it's more like I'd rather you make this decision when you are an adult and you really understand the financial aspect of it, the mental, the emotional, and then I'll be there to support you. But as a child, I feel like you should just be a child. And I feel like exploring as a child, if you want to wear a pink because you're a boy, okay. But I don't know. I just don't know if I want to fully support the transitioning of a child, because it's just too monumental at such a critical young age. So.
And I want to hear your decision. I want to hear your thoughts on this. IG, Facebook. Do you feel like that is too young of an age to make a decision that important? What does it mean for all other decisions? So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I will put my 2 cents in there. I think, you know, people are going to do what people are going to do. So I'm not to be the parent to police and say what you can't support and what you can support. I will say I shouldn't be judged as a parent if I decide I want my, if I'm preaching to my kids, or we practice a certain kind of faith where we admonish to our children, you know, this is the lifestyle you want to live. If it seems traditional and old-fashioned, you shouldn't criticize me for me wanting my kids to be more so traditional and old-fashioned when it comes to those choices. Just like you don't want me to over-criticize you about being, I guess, progressive in your thought process, right? The two have to work both ways. You can't say you're progressive and we can't put my mouth in your parenting, versus you can't say I'm too traditional, but then because I want to be traditional, because I feel like to a certain age I want to still pop my kids when they're out of line. If I want to feel like, hey, I want my kids not to make certain decisions to a certain age, I have the right to do that. Because I know with my kids, I have to remind them to do things like their homework. I have to still remind them to do things like their chores. I don't think that they are mentally developed enough, as smart as they are, because they're both talented, gifted, all that kind of stuff. As smart as they are, as gifted as they are in school, they're still children in their mindset. I see it all the time when I'm with them. So I don't think they would be capable of making that the choice. I think that's why legally kids can't drink to a certain age. That's why legally they can't smoke to a certain age. That's why legally people can't vote or even run for certain offices until a certain age, because there's a certain development I believe your mind has to go through. Is a 12-year-old developed enough to make a decision? Up to parents to decide they're going to do that. As for me in my house,
you going to serve the Lord?
All right, coming from Stephen Joseph here on IG, one of y'all, our faves out here on IG, and actually a frequent guest of the Nitty Gritty Show. He said, it's okay to disagree with the choices your child makes and still support them. The two can coexist. And I like that. I think everybody assumes these days, and I'm glad you brought that up, Steve, because there's a lot of people that believe that being supportive of your child is just allowing your child to do whatever. When your child brings home all C's and D's and you know they're capable of so much more, straight A's or A's and B's, you don't say, oh, it's all right, little Johnny. You made all C's and D's. We're going to let you just live your life because you know what's best for you. No. As a parent, you come in and say, no, you need to turn the work in on time. You need to pay attention in class, stop all the talking, stop all the rowdy stuff, because when you don't get good grades, people may assume it's a reflection of your ability to learn. They may assume it's a reflection of your ability to sit down and behave yourself. They may even assume it's a reflection of what we're doing in this house. Okay. Right? So we're going to encourage you to have better grades, because good grades are not the end-all be-all, but it does heighten your chances when it comes to better schools, when it comes to the things that you desire to do. Why not have the better grades? Why not have the option? Even if you don't want to go to college, why not leave yourself the option? So as parents, yeah, I agree with Steve. You can disagree with your children and still support them. Also, Steven said, kids disappoint you. That's just a part of the job. Laugh out loud.
Yeah, no, so I think that, so I asked the question the other day on Facebook. I said, if your child is unhappy about themselves and they want to change something, you as a parent, are you going to preach self-love, or are you going to preach let's go and get corrective surgery because that'll make you happy? And a lot of people said self-love. My thing is, again, the development of a child. So for example, when I was younger, I was a lot more insecure. The moment somebody said something bad about my hairstyle, I would immediately not want to wear the hairstyle anymore, because it's like, well, if people didn't like it, I want it to be accepted. I want it to be liked. And I think that as you get to become an adult, you learn you're not going to always be liked, and you have to learn how to love yourself. And so when loving yourself on that journey, my concern is that, is this your decision, or is this a societal push or decision because of the times that we live in? And so that's what I just want to make sure that my child is making a decision for he or she, for them. And I honestly don't feel they are equipped at 12 years old, because I remember when I was 12, you're fragile. You care about the opinions of other people. You cry because someone talks about your shoes being busted. You care about being fly at school. You're just not emotionally or mentally mature enough to go to school and be like, I am sexy by myself. I don't need your validation. You really don't get that until you're about, honestly, about 30. After you done lived a little bit, you are like sure of yourself.
Your frontal lobe cortex doesn't develop until you're like 25.
Right. So for me, it would be a support thing. Like, okay, we'll talk through this. I would never make my child feel like they're not supported. But I'm not going to take you to nobody's doctor's office to get corrective surgery, because at the end of the day, if you yourself don't love yourself for who you are, no surgery is going to give you that. I know so many celebrities who still talk about they insecure because look at Little Kim. It's obvious she wasn't happy with herself because she just kept going and kept. Look at Michael Jackson, kept going and kept going. It's a vicious cycle, and you have to deal with the inside. The inside first is what's most important to me than your outer appearance.
And I'll say this too, when we're talking about the fragile subject of sexuality and, you know, when a child knows. So take this in consideration when we force feed sometimes an agenda down someone's throat, right? My first kiss, I was like 6 years old, right? And I remember the girl stuck her tongue down her mouth. Mind you, she was like 10. And I remember saying to myself, oh, this is disgusting. It made me feel away because I just wasn't ready for that. I'm 6 years old, 10-year-old girl sticking her tongue down her mouth, right? Then, you know, I get older and, you know, it's like, okay, your body starts developing, so certain things you like. I didn't lose my virginity till I was 18. Now, I had kissed girls. I had, you know, experimented in some ways with women. But, you know, I didn't actually have any kind of sex or anything until I was 18. But if someone tried to come and confuse, which are natural feelings, which is an undeveloped attraction or an underdeveloped physiology to appreciate what's going on, then you're confusing something for someone just a chance to understand. And I think it's weird when at the age of 12 we're considering sexual attraction and all that, because that's a weird time. I remember just, you know, just the mere sight of some pasty boobies excited me at 12. But these days, I have a more refined taste of what I want in a woman, right? So I know exactly what I want.
But yeah, why can't they be granted the opportunity to explore?
Yeah, I mean, give them some grace to say, hey, don't make a hard decision. You know, love and attraction are very nuanced, right? And there are so many factors that play a part in how you will be attracted or what you're going to be or what you're going to go after as you get older. Me, I was raised by strong black women. I grew up in a culture where we celebrated people like movies like Foxy Brown and Cleopatra. And I remember older men and our circles praising these kind of women. So one could say that I was molded and shaped into wanting a darker complected, more shapely woman. But that's what I find attractive. And there might be other factors that go into there, but now as a grown man, 35, knowing exactly what I want, yeah, that's what I've been attracted to for a really long time. And I think just it's too early maybe in these adolescent stages to suggest a permanent fixture on someone's attraction. I think we should allow people to say, you know what, maybe you're having a moment, but maybe you grow up and you see how you really feel. You know, I just think it's something to consider there. We got a comment from IG from Steve. He said, I agree because of that development being in process. What happens if when the child turns 18, they change their mind? And that's exactly the point, Steven.
That's what I'm saying.
It's people have to have an ability to change their mind, and when you make finite decisions, it's like kind of stuck with those for life.
I mean, I think that we should give kids the opportunity to explore, but I also think that you have to guard your kids in a way. So, for example, I mean, I hate to say it, but Dwayne Wade's kids are celebrity kids. Just like Willow and Jaden Smith were celebrity kids. So celebrity kids get exposed to much more than the rest of us do.
Or Magic Johnson's son, but they're
exposed. They're in a whole nother world.
And even though they deal with criticism, they can still they have enough money to insulate themselves. And you get what I'm saying? And when times get hard, you get what I'm saying?
But I appreciate. See, what I like about Magic Johnson is that he was very transparent and he did not agree with it at first. But EJ now is a good full-grown adult. But EJ did not necessarily change his gender. He just, he's a man that likes style, likes fashion, dresses like a woman from time to time. But he didn't necessarily change his gender. Changing your gender is a very, you gotta think about that.
But I think making any sexual choice too early, like for instance, and this goes the same for the young man who's 12, already having sex. That's too young to take that on, because what I realized as I got older when it came to sex and dealing with women, it's more than just the physical act of what you're doing. It's the emotional residue that is left behind when you engage in sexual activity.
You're like one of the, you and maybe, I would say, I remember Steven mentioned this before, y'all are like very rare men, because most men say they don't feel anything.
I think what it is. I think what it is I think men can compartmentalize sex easier, but I don't think it's done as often as some men claim. Some men claim, "Oh, I just run from chick to chick and it's no big deal."
Yeah.
But there's still this idea of anytime as a man, if you're wondering about the sexual prowess of another man that's been with her, if you're too concerned about, you know, who did it best or who hit it first, there's a connection there that you don't realize that it happened. You may ignore it or whatever, or it may just be that you've dulled your senses so much that you could never find a real attraction. And that's why you'll see some people out there, men or women, they start searching for these extra, you know, marital, you know, like these polyamorous relationships, I think, because they can't find satisfaction in one person because they haven't found satisfaction with themselves. So when we talk about our kids experimenting, I don't think that we would talk about experimenting physically. I think they should just get a chance to understand their emotions at an earlier age. Understand what hurt feels like. Understand what love feels like. Understand what friendship and a real bond feels like. Loyalty, letdown. Understand these emotions first before you bring physical into it. Because physicality, typically, if not handled correctly, numbs the senses. People will stay in a bad relationship because the sex is good.
And you know what? Now, I'm glad you said that, and I hate that we're belaboring this point, but
we'll be moving along.
I do want to say something though. I think that the reason why we're even in this conversation now in today's generation is because we have not allowed for the nuance of what it means to be masculine, what it doesn't mean to be masculine. For example, somebody would have looked at Prince back in the day and said, "Oh, he's definitely wants to be a woman. He needs to let his inner woman out because he has on heels and he's a little bit different." I think that we need to understand that some men just like to dress with a little zhuzh like women. Some men want to put on a little makeup. Some men want to put on a little heel. That's fine. I don't think because they want to do that, that means they want to change their entire identity. Prince didn't change.
I think that's another conversation.
And they said Prince was straight, so
we're not gonna go down there as a whole. I think that's a conversation.
How you doing, Prince?
We'll go into that another day. You know what I'm saying? Because that's like a whole nother.
I'm just saying it's nuanced. That's all. It's nuanced.
That's like a whole nother thing.
Okay.
But moving on to the next thing. Black swim student was arrested. Now suing the East Moline and Hampton Police, along with 2 deputies from the Rock Island Sheriff's Office.
Last name was Bryant. I think Tyler Bryant. Can't remember the first, but it was Bryant.
Yeah. So basically, went to a swim meet. I guess he steps outside the bus. Right?
They literally went to a rest stop, and all of them got out to stretch, get Skittles, grab pop, all of that jazz. He said he stretched his arms, and next thing you know, it was 6 cops around him. Get on the ground. So he gets on the ground. One had a pistol to his neck. The other had a pistol to his head.
See that excessive violence, man.
His swim mate saw him and was like, "Whoa, what are you doing? That's my teammate." They're like, you know, "Go back and mind your business. He is going to be charged." Finally, the coach get whiff of it. The coach talks to the police officers. They cuff him and put him in the back. They interrogate him. He has to prove his identification. All this jazz. Long story short, he's now suing because, I mean, that was just ridiculous. Like, just because you think someone fits the profile, this is a high school student from Illinois. Nowhere he didn't rob anybody, and they didn't believe that he was a black boy, a swim team. Y'all just trying to cover for him. Now, what white man you not gonna cover for a black man if he guilty?
Not just that. I think what the thing is. So when we start looking at police, and we're not gonna belabor this point. We didn't talk about this a lot, but there's some key points I'm gonna make. One is police. When you look at the model behind any police uniform, it's supposed. I know the history is slave catching, but it's supposed to have evolved to that, to protecting and serving, right? The meaning of protecting and serving isn't your origin from being slave catchers. At this point now, you guys should be thinking about how healthy ways to engage the community. The best police officers out there, when you look at detectives and all that, they say the reason why they're able to arrest the real bad guys is because they become close to the community. The community then can confide in them, even some of the people that they investigate, and they're able to really protect the neighborhood. And there's plenty of examples out there of police officers doing what they're supposed to. Maybe helping, like there was a example posted on the Nitty Gritty show of a young lady that was deaf. They was about to call the cops on her, but another cop came in. He actually knew sign language and was able to communicate with her frustration.
Oh yeah,
and then actually went a step further and helped pay for her identification. There's other officers out there that go out there and play basketball with the kids in the street and do things that are helpful, protecting and serving. I think once police officers realize their job is protecting and serving, and once our elected officials hold those officers accountable to that job, which is protecting and serving, we can see real movement in how our community relates and deals with police. Until then, I think we'll continue to have more of the same foolishness.
But my question to you and to even IG and Facebook is that when are we going to have enough is enough? You know, I've been watching a lot of these Malcolm X documentaries, and for me, it's like we go through the same thing over and over again. We've been talking about police brutality since Emmett Till, which was the start of the civil rights movement. So when are we as black folks going to do more than just hope and pray that we elect the right official who will, you know, think about black folks? I mean, I guess the question I have is, what are we going to do that is going to hold people accountable? And this brings me back to an earlier point we made before the Lenny Kravitz show. When we, what you doing?
My bad.
When we had the boycott of NFL, half of you jokers could not do it. You said, I'm not about to give up football. You just couldn't do it. And it frustrates me because it's like we don't care until it happens in our own backyard. You don't care about police brutality until it's your husband or your son. And you have to start having the empathy of you being black and what that means, and having a care about your fellow black brother or your fellow black sister. And so I don't know, I just feel like at this point, you know, Juan and I are just two folks, you know, Steven and whoever else, we're just a few of us. We can't be the only ones that are passionate about it. We just can't be.
And you're gonna have to take some action. Coming from Steven on IG, he said police officers bring more of their personal prejudice to their line of work.
Yes.
Probably more than any other profession.
Agreed.
And that's true. And I think what it is it may not be more than other professions, but what happened is it's the consequences of doing that are more readily identified in their profession. Because if you have a prejudice towards black people and you're waiting tables, right, may not be too noticeable, right? Because if you're going for the dollar, you're going to still smile in everybody's face.
Oh no, wait,
right?
tables, you might spend somebody's food or something.
Yeah, well, I hope that they don't go that far. Or even if, let's say, if you're ringing up somebody at a counter, right, where you can't touch their stuff, you know, you may not be as gentle taking care of the stuff, but it may not be something that we notice as fast, right? Or maybe something you can hide easier, like redlining and loan officers and all that stuff. But when you're a police officer,
you got a gun.
You know, you got a gun, you have some power behind you, and what you get rid of, get away with. So I think it becomes more apparent, like these people who have these prejudices. And I think we just need to do better. Someone good to look into, also a friend of the nitty gritty, Dr. Rashawn Ray. He's the head of the sociology department there at the University of Maryland. He has a lot of great work on police bias, prejudice. Really was just at the Brookings Institute with Representative Jeffries, talking about various ways we can combat this. So look up for people like that, and they can point you in a definite way as to how to solve these issues, and they're already working on how to improve it. Yeah. Moving on to the next one, and this is actually going to kind of tie into some of my shout-outs for today. The Renegade Dance. If you guys don't know, there's a 14-year-old out of Atlanta created it. Her name is Jaliyah. I hope I didn't butcher her name. Jaliyah Harmon. She's a trained dancer, has taken classes in hip-hop, ballet, lyrical dance, jazz, tumbling, and even tap dance. Even stars such as Lizzo, Kourtney Kardashian, and David Dorbeck have performed her dance.
Come on, Jaliyah.
Now, here's the sad part though. This Renegade Dance, nobody knows she's the creator of it. The person that they have labeled the CEO of the Renegade Dance is Charli D'Amelio, white girl who's gotten a lot of press because she has 26 followers.
Wait, is that the one where all the girls doing the...
Yeah, that's it. The Renegade Dance.
That's called Renegade?
Yeah, that's the Renegade Dance, and it was created by Jaliyah Harmon. We're bringing this up because a lot of people are like, well, what does the Nitty Gritty show care about dances? I think this being Black History Month, right? Yep. Too often when people of our community contribute to anything in the culture, anything American society, it's so easily overlooked. Even when it comes out to simple fashion and hairstyles, we've seen it in fashion where people like Tommy Hilfiger and the owners of Timberland boots, they don't want to give credit to the black community being the biggest pushers of why they get their popularity. In music all the time, especially one of the things I wanted to do today was play music from the era that I'm pulling on my Black History Month moments. But I couldn't even do it because my Black History Month moments are from 1926 and 1936. Unfortunately, when you look up popular black music from that time, I know it's blues, but you can't pinpoint an artist on the national level because of segregation and racism, right? And then you have groups out there like the Allen Brothers who had a song called Salty Dog Blues. They stole that song from black artists. But because black artists couldn't be played on the radio, right, they're the ones that got all the radio play. So now, even people who don't understand music in its entirety, they think that blues is a genre and country is something that came from white America, when in all actuality, it was created by black America. And it's not a matter of, oh, we don't value white Americans that do stuff well. I think what black people want and what we've been missing in education and in training our children is showing that blacks, Latinos, Asians have made significant contributions to our history. And we're not just black history, we are also American history. Crispus Attucks is American history. Thurgood Marshall is American history. Jesse Owens is American history. It's not something that just benefits black people, and it doesn't take away from white. It actually uplifts the whole American culture, right?
Yeah, and you know, it's funny you said that, Juan, because there are people I know who want so badly. They want so badly to say, I am mixed with something. I got Native American in my DNA. My
Stephen said Elvis existed because of Little Richard.
My great-great-grandmother was white, and I think it's because of the erasure. Am I saying it right? Erasure?
I think you're saying it right.
Erasure.
I have a list of times too. So
yes, the erasure of black culture, i.e. music, i.e. inventions, i.e. contributions. And I think that we have, as a black people, you come from such a beautiful lineage of people, and you really need to wear that badge of honor proudly. So many times we've been looked upon as the dumb Negro who was the master, who was the what was it called, is it called jigaboo? Mm-hmm. All of that mammy and all that stuff, but we are much more than that. We did the first open heart surgery. The first female millionaire was a black woman.
Traffic lights.
Yeah. The person who actually built DC and all of its infrastructure was a black man. So, I mean...
Well, what he did is he took on the work afterwards.
But he's the one that created the design.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was him.
Finalized the design, yeah.
So the point being is that if you are black, it's Black History Month, please be proud of your heritage. All of this... Well, I wish I had, you know, I get
Benjamin Banneker, by the way.
Benjamin Banneker. You know, sometimes I hear people say, I wish I had a softer curl. The reason why you're even thinking this way is because of what Juan is saying, because from history, everything that we did that was great was erased. They even tried to erase the history of the Egyptians. Point being is that you come from a proud lineage of people. You need to be proud of who you are. Your nappy hair, your wide nose, your dark skin, all of that. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and it comes from a lineage of people who created so much for the American culture. It just blows my mind. It just does.
It really does. Steven comments, Steven, we should just have you here at the show today. Matter of fact, you should just come back soon. We haven't had you in a while, so come kick it with us this month before the month is out. If not, you know, maybe in March. So Steven said from IG, racism is a family heirloom. It gets passed down like everything else. You'll never see a clan hood buried with a member that passed away.
Come on.
True, they keep that thing. I know what, that's a really good point though. Racism is a family heirloom. And let me say this, because racism hurts all of America. When disenfranchised white people allow rich and powerful white people to convince you that you're better off because you're not black, that allows them to keep you in trailer parks. Because guess what? The trailer park and the hood are no different. In the trailer park, you have beer, you have alcohol, you have access to gambling, you have access to buy here, pay here. You also have check advance, things that keep poor people poor. When you're white living in the trailer park, you have bad education. You have, you could say, uppity white teachers that look down on your white, what they would call trailer trash kids. And they don't want to give them the benefit of the doubt because maybe their daddy was in a motorcycle gang or their dad dropped out in the 8th grade and all they do is work on vehicles. You're dealing with the same issues that black and brown people deal with in the inner city. You're not better. You really should be in the same fight with us against those who are powerful, against those who have money and influence that create laws all the time in the White House to make sure that their buddies and their friends stay rich. When we all have that pursuit to liberty and that pursuit to happiness in America, and we're seeing that being cut short, or someone's putting a glass ceiling over that. And it's not just black people being involved. When you look at poverty rates, 35% of white Americans are living below the income level and making less income. Really, only 17 of blacks are actually dealing with that. But the media will have you believe you're better because of the color of your skin. The same systematic racism that keeps us down, that has us in a position where we don't make as much as somebody who's graduated high school, even though we have degrees, is the same system that keeps you in trailer parks. When we fight injustice, when we're talking about trickle-down economics, that's not something to just help black people. That helps all Americans. And I think we need to change the narrative to understand that some things are not about color. Some things are just about what's best for America. Yeah. We need to build a better America.
Yeah. Period. You know when he said that they passed down things as heirlooms, did you guys know that that museum in Alabama, the lynching museum, that they were able to have over, I think, thousands of jars of dirt, and the dirt were passed down dirt of lynchings. So when someone was lynched, they would collect the dirt and put it in a jar, and people in the South donated to the museum because they had kept it in their home and in their family for generations. So they definitely passed it down. Why would you want to keep something like that?
I mean, like Steven said it best. Racism is a family heirloom. Shout out Steve for that. That's a quotable that I'm gonna have to post later. All right. Also, something to bring up is going back to Jalea. Is, you know, let's go ahead and celebrate this girl. If you've seen the dance, do it. Hashtag her name. Find her IG, hit her up.
She needs to go viral.
Let's give her flowers right now. The dance has already gone viral. It's so sad because at the NBA All-Star game, that girl who was named the CEO of the dance, who didn't create it, she was out there teaching it to the All-Star game cheerleaders.
So how did she steal it from off social media?
What happens is everybody started doing the dance on the app TikTok. My daughter uses TikTok, Amira. And so a lot of them were doing the dance on TikTok. And this girl, Charlie D'Amelio, she was named the CEO of the dance because she's already so popular and followed on TikTok. So everybody latched on and said, oh, she must be the creator.
So why didn't she just tell the truth?
Well, will Eminem ever give proper credit? I mean, I know he gives some credit, but I never feel like he gives all proper credit to hip-hop and its origins. And you got a lot of people that do.
He does. I don't think Eminem. No, you be wrong.
Okay, but think about how many other artists that have. Like, they go into a genre. Prime example, you have what's the big girl name from London? No, London. Adele, right? She sings. She gets up there and says, "I know Beyonce deserves the award," right? But she gonna give the award up, the Grammy, to Beyonce? She didn't do it, right?
I mean, can you?
I mean, it's yours. You can do what you want with what you get, right? You can. You can always get up there and say, "Hey, I'm sharing this award with so and so." It was only right thing.
What I'm saying is, from the record standpoint, can you? Because it's voted upon. It's not like. It's not like I win $1 million and I actually
stop you. So the point is, I understand what you're saying, but look beyond that. Once they already announce your name and you go up there and you're going to give your big speech, what's to stop you at that point to say, "Hey, so and so, you come up here as part of your exception speech and says, you know what, I want you to have this because I think you're the one that earned it." Can't nobody stop you from doing that.
You mean sharing her platform?
That's what I'm saying, right? And oftentimes people don't do that. And a lot of times people would do things. They know that sisters had braids for years, but then a white sister does it. In the 70s, cool. They call it Bo Derek braids.
And it's not gay.
Now it's cool. So I think that's something to say about. And for any white listeners listening, this is not a bash upon white people. This is to help you become aware of why your black coworkers and your black friends are upset when they see it, because this is how we see it from our lens, and then you have to see the truth behind the lens of what we're viewing. Coming from our RG audience, Steven, he said, "Yeah, I'm tired of that too. You white, you work, go sit down. We don't need your sympathy or pity." Exactly. The whole trying to get pity for something, like just because oh, black people, they were on my behind and they were telling me our history and they made me feel bad, but I didn't lynch anybody. But yeah, but you still benefit from your whiteness. right? And I'm happy that Chelsea Handler did what she did on Netflix, and she was finally able to at least have her eyes open and see, like, yeah, you're benefiting for something when your black boyfriend was going to jail. Like,
she still made a whole documentary.
Still made a whole documentary and made money off of it. You know, like. Yeah. But so, anyways, we're gonna move on to our shout outs. We got a lot of them, and I got some points to make through them. Shout out Robert White, DC Councilman at Large. Just had his birthday this past February the 12th. Yeah. His father's birthday was the day after that, February 13th. That's also family. So shout out, cuz. Also, want to shout out all the blues artists, because we were talking about like this cultural appropriation and people not getting their flowers. Like I said, I couldn't even pull songs from 1926 and 36 because all of them had been plagiarized by white artists. But in light of them and shouting out all these amazing black blues artists, that so many of their work was stolen. People like Elvis, once again mentioning the Allen Brothers and so many others stole their music. Muddy Waters, B.B. King's, Howlin' Wolf, Buddy Guy, Robert Johnson, John Lee Hooker, Son House, Jimi Hendrix, T-Bone Walker, Sonny Boy Williamson, Lightning Hopkins, Albert King, Little Walker, Bessie Smith, Elmore James, Skip James, Freddie King, Ray Charles, and so many more. Here's some of your flowers today because you didn't get them while you were here. And we appreciate your music. And that's why I pulled artists like Lenny Kravitz and Wyclef Jean today, because they have continued some of that guitar playing and some of that bluesy sound even in their music today. So that was the best way I felt like I could celebrate those artists. Also, for some shout outs, it is Black History Month. So I wanted to shout out Jesse Owens. And this is important because I talk about the importance of how Black history is also American history. And this is why Jesse Owens had 4 gold medals in Berlin in 1936. Guys, this is before the bubbling and the start of World War II, which a lot of the basis and the theology and the philosophy behind
Negroes.
Well, yeah, but not just that, but when you're dealing with the Nazis and when you're dealing with Hitler, Adolf Hitler, he felt like the superior race was the Aryan race, which was white men. Right. So at this Olympics, Jesse Owens received 4 gold medals in the 100-meter relay, the 200-meter relay, the 4x100 relay, and the long jump, representing America. And America at the time that wouldn't let him drink at the same water fountain as someone else, wouldn't let him use the same bathroom as someone else, had to give him sleeping arrangements even while in Berlin because of their racism to him. But when he got those 4 gold medals, he didn't just uplift black people and the stuff we were going through. He uplifted anybody that was going through an injustice. Like Martin Luther King has said, an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. And his winning not only uplifted us, but everyone. And at the end of the day, that's always going to count as 4 gold medals for America. This is why it's important not to just subjugate us to just the month of February, although there's a reason why, but to understand that we are the fabric of all parts of American history. What we do don't just benefit us. It doesn't take away from white people. It actually adds to all of us. So we need to kind of cut the crap, and this is a progressive way to move forward. Also talking about Black History Month, because a lot of people don't know the history. People think that it's a conspiracy to keep the black man on the smallest month. It wasn't it. It was a black man that came up with it, Carter G. Woodson, in February of 1926, where he launched the celebration of Negro History Week. He then chose the time frame initially because it coincided with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and also Frederick Douglass, who were essentially celebrated within the black community for their abolitionary work and also the freeing of slaves, right? Yeah. So, I mean, obviously that's why we chose that time. Now, shout out to Kent State, Ohio. University. Yeah, right. HBCU.
It's a PWI.
It is a PWI? It is. Well, the black students at Kent University are lit because in 1970, they decided to make it a whole month. Actually, in 1970, they celebrated for the first 2 months of the year. But then afterwards, it was just every month of February, the whole month. And because of their influence and what they did at Kent State University as a PWI, so that means they were the minority there, they were able to influence the whole country. And even in 1976, even until now, every U.S. president has deemed the month of February Black History Month.
And Kent State University, to even tie onto that, so LeBron James has a school. So if you are a student at the LeBron James I Promise School, you can go to Kent State University for free.
So, yo, shout out Kent State. So
that's so dope.
And that's why we need to know our history, because it's so important And when you think about what just a few people did, you had one man that had this idea, we should teach the accomplishments of what black people have done in America. National Negro Week.
I have a question because it's 6 minutes still. I'm going to put it on the floor. Why do you think a lot of these celebrations, new inventions, happened such a long time ago, and when are we going to create something new in this generation?
That's a good point. Or, you know, when we do create something new, are we going to get credit for it? Because obviously it's still an issue when it's even as simple as a dance.
Right, but they were able to get us a month. We were able to, you know, get all these different inventions. Like, so what from our generation, what can we contribute that's going to live on for generations to come? They had Malcolm X, they had Dr. King. Our generation, I can't think of nobody or nothing.
Well, I won't say that because you have people out there like obviously Barack Obama being the first black president. That's monumental.
Yeah, but it's still
you have
not
people
the
like
same.
You have people like Eric Dyson, Michael Eric Dyson, doing great work.
Do you think he's going to get a monument built from him? No.
He probably won't get a monument, but then everything is so much more diluted thanks to media. I don't know if any real leader could ever really shine as much as when we only had 5 TV stations. You get what I'm saying? Back then, you had CBS, ABC, NBC, and like 2 other channels, and that was it, right? So when you only have 5 channels for visibility,
and what they call it, Bond?
What?
They ain't call it a channel. What they call it?
Oh, your program. Back in the day, the old folks said the program. So back then, when you had to watch a program, your program only came on 5 stations, and TV turned on at 10 o'clock, I believe. Gotcha. Right? So limited visibility, I think, allowed for people to have a larger voice, especially when people were looking at a lot of print, and very few print controlled all things, right? Okay. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting there. I still got 5 minutes. So anyways, I'm about to play this song for y'all. Today, I figured, like I said, I couldn't pull up any blues tunes from my date that I pulled up. And I didn't want to play the Allen Brothers Salty Dog Blues, which was a hit, even though we can directly tie it to a black artist. I was like, you know what? I'll just pull up some current artists that are actually some dope musicians, and we could celebrate using them. Wyclef John had a dope album back in 2000, The Ecleftic, 2 Sides to a Book, and he had an amazing song, which I know you all are going to recognize, featuring Mary J. Blige. If you don't know it, I don't know how you don't know it, because it's a jam. Listen to that guitar play. You know what I'm saying?
With Mary J. Girls with acoustic guitars, you know what I'm saying? Yo, fellas got problems with the chicks.
Wyclef talented too. Like, if you ever watch my NPR, he can play the guitar with his tongue. He's a beast, man. Yeah, he's cold like that. Look, it's your boy Lenny Kravitz, and together we are the Lenny Kravitz. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you tune into our IG, our Facebook. Hit us up on YouTube at the Lenny Kravitz Show. And we out here, y'all. Peace, love, happiness, blessings. We out. Steve, hit me up, bro. I gotta talk to you for real. Like, hit me up. Facebook, we out. Messing around with you is gonna get me live.